see my slides?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Hold on, I have a picture. Oops. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for inviting me. It's my pleasure to share with you narrative inquiry. It's an approach that I'm very interested in and I have a passion for. Right. Okay, this is the agenda for today. After today's sharing, I'll send the slides to Gloria. Perhaps you can ask her for the slides as well. Yeah. Right. So let's proceed. Okay, I'll start with, of course, naturally, a narrative. Well, I'm going to share two narratives, but I'll start with a simple narrative, a story. Okay, once upon a time, the animals decided they must do something heroic to meet the problems of the new world. So they organized a school. They adopted an activity curriculum consisting of running, climbing, swimming, and flying. To make it easier to administer the curriculum, all the animals took all the subjects. The dog was excellent in swimming, in fact, better than his instructor. But he made only passing grades in flying and was very poor in running. Since he was slow in running, he had to stay after school and also drop swimming in order to practice running. This was kept up until his webbed feet were badly worn and he was only average in swimming. But average was acceptable in school, so nobody worried about that except the dog. The rabbit started at the top of class in running, but had a nervous breakdown because of so much makeup work in swimming. The squirrel was excellent in climbing until he developed frustration in a flying class where his teacher made him start from the ground up instead of the treetop down. He also developed a Charlie horse from overexertion and got a C in climbing and a D in running. The eagle was a problem child and was disciplined severely. As you can see, I will not cheat at tree climbing. Kept right. In the climbing class, he beat all the others to the top of the tree, but insisted on using his own way to get there, which is to fly. At the end of the year, an abnormal eel that could swim exceedingly well and also run, climb, and fly a little had the highest average. And he was valedictorian. The prairie dog stayed out of school and fought the tax levy because the administration would not add digging and burrowing to the curriculum. They apprenticed their children to a badger and later joined the groundhogs and gophers to start a successful private school. Does this fable have a moral? So this is a story with a moral, a lesson. Then another narrative I'm going to share, which I won't read because it's quite dense, which I'll ask you to read instead silently. It's taken from a paper that I wrote. This is the first phase during teaching practice for this student of mine. during the teaching practice phase of teacher education. Phase is the first 6 months after she graduated from teacher education. Here in school after graduation. You've heard the first narrative and then you've read the second narrative. So right now I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to ask for your feelings about the two stories. What do you feel about them after you heard one and after you've read the other? Anyone would like to share? Impression. How do you feel? Yes, yes.
So based on my experience, I think the first one is much more interesting rather than the second one. Of course, because I think this is related to personal type of or method of learning, and I'm more suited to learning with visual, visual, audio visual. So I think the first story is can picture more narrative rather than the second one. The second one is like, I think I need to read in very short time to understand what is happening. So that is my perspective of the
It's
song.
experience. Yeah, the first one is very visual because of the pictures to lend visual support to the text. The second one is very dense. Thanks, Asha. How about the others? How do you feel after you heard the story, after you've read the story? Any other thoughts, please?
I think
Yeah, yes.
after the first first story is about for students to learn a subject they are not good at or they have problem on it, and another one is to for students to learn on a tempo they don't used to, and if they can catch up with it. Also, the teachers have problem to prepare the material for students to learn. I think both of the pedagogical method are not the best one because they don't focus on students' need, only focus on how they build a school in the first story and how they want to finish and prepare for the students' examination in the second story. And I think there are still another way to fix the pedagogical method to fit the better for the students.
Absolutely, no, absolutely right. Thanks for sharing. Perhaps one more person would like to share your thoughts, your feelings.
Okay, I have one more small additional opinion, which I would say the first story gives us a more kind of third person perspectives, like we're watching the whole view. And for the second one, we can know that it's I, all talking about I, the first person, and his or her story. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the personal I came very strongly in the second story, didn't it? Right. Well, both are stories with lessons or morals, if you would call it. One is about the importance of differentiating the curriculum for different abilities of students. The importance, the value of differentiating it. The other is what we call a research text, a research story, a research narrative. Through that story, through that narrative, we understand what is going on in the school system, how it, in a way, compels the teachers to enact certain type of pedagogical practices, even though these pedagogical practices were not taught during teacher education. And in fact, teacher education taught the teachers to move away from such exam drilling practices, but the school context influenced, forced the teacher to adopt such practices. And so that story allows us to see that situation, the environment that caused the teacher to make such a decision. Okay. So I'll go into that a bit more later. But that's to set the context for a narrative inquiry. Right? Okay, so let's move back to okay, so we're back. Okay, so narrative inquiry. So what I've shared, the second text is an example of a narrative inquiry using the research text to share with the research world and its readers what is happening out there, what is happening in a particular situation, in a particular school. And so narrative inquiry has been used. There is legitimacy in using this particular approach. I'm going to share with us some of the special issues that were published in various journals, special issue on narrative inquiry alone. So this is one of the top tier journals, Educational Researcher. You can see a number of papers on, it's called the featured papers or Discourse on Narrative Research. That's 2009. Then you have the Journal of Educational Research, a special issue in 2009. TESOL Quarterly, another top tier research journal, in 2011. A journal for the Physical Education and Sciences, 2016, Narrative Inquiry and Research. Another journal on the RH Educational Studies Journal on Narrative Inquiry. And System, another top tier journal in 2021. So as you can see, a few of these are what we consider high impact journals, and they publish special issues just on narrative inquiry, meaning all its papers in a particular issue were using narrative inquiry or commenting about narrative inquiry. some of the established journals that have published papers on narrative inquiry. So for example, teaching and teacher education is one of the top tier teacher education journals. See, they have published quite a number of papers on narrative inquiry. 121, 23, yeah. These are quite recent, just maybe 2-3 years ago, yeah. This one started the popularity of using narrative inquiry in China because Michael Connolly was invited to China to give a talk about narrative inquiry or two about its value to the country. Yeah. So after his two conference sharing and his paper, it proliferated in the country itself. Another journal, Teachers and Teaching, you can see quite a number of papers published on narrative inquiry as well. Journal of Education for Teaching, 2022, 2020, 2019, 2013. Journal of Curriculum Studies. International Journal of Qualitative Studies in Education, one of the top tier research methods journals. Another research methods journal. And also in established research handbooks or research methods books. This one, the Sage Handbook of Qualitative Research, 5th edition, you can see an entire chapter on narrative inquiry. The Oxford Handbook of Qualitative Research, another